This is the Fertile Mindset podcast, where we explore all the emotional aspects of fertility to support you on your path to parenthood. My name is Sarah Holland. I'm the Fertile Mindset coach and a mother to 2 children after my own fertility challenges. I hope you find all the support and inspiration you need within this podcast to carry you forward on your fertility journey towards your own successful outcome. It's also my wish that through listening to these episodes, you rediscover how to enjoy life now and live it to the full while you wait for your baby. Now, let's begin today's episode. Welcome back to the Fertile Mindset podcast. It's lovely to be speaking to you again, and I have something different that I'd like to share with you today. This is the first in a series of short and powerful episodes, although this episode will be a little longer as I introduce them to you and explain how they are going to work. What I'm going to be doing is sharing a key issue with you that you may be experiencing on your fertility journey. And then, as well as sharing the issue and talking it through, I'll also be sharing how to use EFT tapping to shift your thoughts, feelings and beliefs and resolve the issue. Everything that I share will be issues that have come up time and time again for the members of the Fertile Mindset Sanctuary or for my one-to-one clients. So I'm hoping that you, my podcast listeners, will be able to see yourself in what I talk about and then receive useful support too. And I'm going to give you some tips for getting the most possible support out of these episodes. One thing that will help hugely is to have at least a beginner knowledge of using EFT. You can learn about EFT and how to do it in episode 20 of the Fertile Mindset podcast. In fact, I'll be directing you over to that episode at the end of this one, as there's something I'd like you to listen to and work with straight after. And it would also hugely benefit you to be a member of the Fertile Mindset Sanctuary on at least the free level of membership. The paid subscription level is only open to new members a couple of times a year, but the free membership is open right now and will always be open whenever you listen to this podcast. Just go to fertilemindset.com/sanctuary to register for free and have immediate access to some great fertility EFT resources and weekly support emails from me too. So what kind of issues will we be focusing on in these episodes? I'm often asked whether EFT will help with this or that, or a particular issue that feels unusual or impossible to shift. I like to remember the phrase said by Gary Craig, the founder of EFT. Whenever he was asked the same question, he would simply say, "Try it on anything." In his experience, which is now shared by the many thousands of EFT practitioners, whatever the issue is, whether it's emotional or physical, complex, apparently deep-seated, or just feels impossible to imagine it being resolved, it is worth trying EFT on it, even if it's something you believe can't be helped, especially if you think it's something that can't be helped. And almost every time, I know that you'll be amazed by the results, because what EFT does in its essence is help you to return to your most natural and supportive mindset. That's the most appropriate and helpful for the challenge or issue that you are facing. Does fear, worry, anger, or frustration help the situation in any way? Well, yes, every emotion has its place, and it's important that we recognise and acknowledge them and not push them away or deny that they exist. Facing fertility issues is hard, and it brings up emotions in us that can be strong and powerful. There's no denying this, and each of those emotions are there for a reason too. Fear may be trying to keep you safe from an apparent danger. Worry is trying to help you resolve an issue by overthinking about every detail. Although all emotions can be helpful for brief periods of time in the appropriate situation, it's when we feel stuck with those emotions that the problems can begin. When our mind is in a constant overthinking worry loop, or we feel angry with the world and the injustice of others getting pregnant so easily when it's not happening for us. But it is possible to be free of the emotions that feel excessive, unnecessary, or uncomfortable. And it is possible to change our thoughts and beliefs and shift them to more supportive, healthy versions. And the good news is that all of this comes from within you. EFT is simply the tool that helps you uncover what you have inside you already and what you knew all along. That's why the results we see after using EFT feel so natural and comfortable. We don't have to force ourselves to think positively or work hard to push down negative feelings. EFT helps you naturally reclaim your emotional balance and mindset, your fertile mindset, that not only supports your fertility journey, but supports you too and the experience of the life that you're living. This is the approach to emotional well-being I use with all my Fertile Mindset coaching sessions and also in my membership, the Fertile Mindset Sanctuary. And now I'd love to give you, my podcast listeners, a taster of using EFT to resolve key challenges and issues that you might be facing on your fertility journey. Now, I'd love to hear how these shorter but very practical podcast episodes work for you. Feel free to get in touch with me anytime at mail@fertilemindset.com. So let's dive into what we're going to be talking about in this episode and some tips on how to use EFT on this issue to bring in a much more supportive, healthy and positive mindset. What I'd love to talk to you about today is the question you may have asked yourself. Am I doing enough to support my fertility, or am I doing too much? Now, this worry can creep up on us when we're trying for a baby and it's taking longer than we hoped. At first, we may feel quite relaxed and taking it all in our stride, but before we know it, we're researching, reading, Googling, and trying to find anything that will help us get pregnant. Maybe you spend hours researching and you know there's so much that you could do that list is endless. But you find yourself constantly worrying that you're missing something on your fertility plan. Perhaps you've tried to do as much as possible because you don't want to miss the one thing that could be your fertility solution, but then you feel overwhelmed and overcommitted. It's so important to find your balance between doing too much and not enough, and using EFT tapping can help you find that place. It can feel like you're in research mode a lot of the time and always looking for what the latest advice is and what the next new thing that's supposed to optimize fertility or help you with your particular fertility problem. And maybe you found yourself going down some quite unusual paths, trying things that perhaps you wouldn't have normally tried, and looking at many different approaches to your health and your fertility. Some of them may be beneficial and a great discovery, but other things may feel like they're just depleting your time and energy, and your money as well. I think that we can get to the stage where we're doing a lot and it feels good to be proactive, but then the balance is tipped and suddenly it feels too much and it's overwhelming. And even at that stage, you may find there's still a list of things that you perhaps are interested in trying or know that you could try, and it's where to draw the line. It's knowing when and how to do this and how to cherry pick the right things for you. Where are you at the moment with this? And importantly, how does it feel and what kind of impact is it having on you? Are you in that full-on research mode, or are you feeling frozen and procrastinating and not knowing what to do next? Where do you feel you are with the lists of things that you could try or do to support your fertility? Sometimes also we let go of things. We try to strip back what we're doing on our fertility journey and then wonder, have I let go of too much as I'm not feeling connected enough now to my dream of having a baby? Am I not doing enough now? This can come up especially if when you were letting go of the things, you were in a place of overwhelm. If you were feeling like, I just need to turn my back on all of this right now, rather than consciously choosing which things to let go of and feeling like you were coming from a place of reason and clarity. It's all about the balance and finding your balance, rather than going from one extreme to the other, from doing too much to not enough and then back to too much again. I also want to talk about trying to achieve perfection in everything we do. We somehow believe that there must be a magical perfection where we do everything just right and then we will conceive our baby. However, when we make perfection our only goal, we're never going to feel we're doing enough because we're never going to get to the perfect way of doing things. Perfection is unattainable, impossible in fertility and in every area of our life. Let's be honest. Even if we feel that we're getting close to it, close to perfection, something will come up, something will happen that disrupts that perfection that seemed so close. If there's no such thing as perfection, aiming for it, knowing that's the standard that you want for yourself and the goal that you have for yourself can mean that getting ever closer to perfection, however ultimately elusive it is, will still bring you many, many benefits though. A saying that I quite like is, if you shoot for the moon and you don't get there, you still land among the stars. So shoot for that perfection, shoot for that perfect balance. And if that's your aim but you don't get there, because none of us will, still know that because you've taken those really positive, supportive steps and you're taking care of both your emotional and physical health and well-being, where you get to is your own version of perfection. Perfectly imperfect, we could call it. How about that instead of perfection? You could say, I'm aiming for perfect imperfection, whatever is just perfect enough for me, releasing the pressure a little. So once we have the awareness that we may be doing too much, rather than taking drastic panicked action and stopping everything we're doing, how can we be more conscious with our choices and actions, letting go of the things that we know we really don't need and keeping hold of the things that are supportive for us and our fertility? Finding that place between doing too much and being overwhelmed and all consumed to doing just enough and just the right things, the things that feel good and feel right. You might be thinking, how am I supposed to know which of these things on the long list of things that I can do to support my fertility are the right things to do, and which can I let go of? How do I know this? I see it as a combination and a balance between having good information and knowledge that applies to you personally, understanding your own fertility and any particular issues that you know you have, either diagnosed or through the symptoms you have, or whatever you know about yourself and your cycle. You may have gained this knowledge through tests and investigations and consultations with doctors. It's important to have that knowledge and understanding about yourself, and then to understand what medical treatments, natural support, supplements, diet, lifestyle, or whatever approaches might be right for you. You want to know that you're relying on good quality information and advice, so you're not just going to Google and see what everyone else in the world thinks about a particular thing. You go to someone that you trust as an expert who has qualifications, experience, or wisdom in the area. You trust their opinion, and maybe you get a couple of opinions, but always from trusted sources. So you have the information and knowledge about yourself and also about the options. Then also what will help you to make a good choice for you and your fertility comes from deep within you, from your inner knowledge, your inner wisdom, your intuition. That can be harder to define, but you will feel it. Once you have the trustworthy and reliable knowledge and information, it then comes back to you to make the decisions that feel right and that you feel aligned with. You can decide, does it feel comfortable bringing this into my fertility plan, or could I let this go as it's not something that I need right now? You can get to a place of balance where you trust that inner nudge and that inner knowing. And EFT tapping can absolutely help you connect to it. It can also help you get clear. You'll know whether you have enough knowledge in order to make a decision. Say you were trying to decide whether, for example, whether fertility reflexology is something that you want to use. Now that came to mind for me because I started my work in therapy as a reflexologist, a fertility reflexologist. It is a wonderful therapy, but how can you decide if it's the right thing for you to add to your fertility plan right now? You might have researched it, you might have looked online, you've had some friends that recommend it, someone in a fertility group recommends it, and it's on your list of things to do. But when you use EFT tapping on making the decision, you may feel, I don't know enough about reflexology and what it's actually doing and whether it would be suitable for my particular fertility condition. So this could be where you stop and do some more research before you jump into using it. You could also get clear on how you'll do this and say, I'm going to speak to this particular reflexologist who is a specialist in fertility. I want to speak to them about my situation, what I've done so far, and see what they recommend as a course of action. So the tapping can help you get clear on that as well. Connect with your inner knowledge, yes, but also get clear on if there is anything else that you need to know, because we do need our information and our research. We can't do it all from intuition. We need to have the information in front of us and then know which direction to go in. Does that make sense? I really hope so. Now, if you can get a pen and paper to hand, I'm going to give you some tips now on how to use EFT to get away from both the feelings of doing too much or not doing enough to support your fertility and finding your Goldilocks moment, we could say, when it feels just right. Now, I'd like you to take your paper lengthways and draw a line down the middle to make 2 columns. On the left-hand side, make a list of everything that you have already done for your fertility in the past or you are currently doing. This could be tests, treatments, changes to your lifestyle, diets, any supplements or herbs you're taking, any therapies. Then on the right-hand side, write down anything that may support your fertility that you haven't tried yet but you are interested in. A friend may have recommended something, or you may have read about something. Write down anything and everything that you are considering or thinking about adding to your fertility plan. Write everything down, be honest. even if it feels crazy. This is your list. No one else has to see this, so fill up your list well. Now, each of these things will bring something to you, to your fertility journey. But is it bringing you something useful, or is it bringing in fear and taking your energy and focus from what you most need to focus on? These lists can show you all the potential, all the possibilities, all the things you can do to support your fertility. But they can also become overwhelming, too much for us to sustain, and it might not feel possible, it might not be possible to do all of these things. This is where the tapping will help. It will bring you clarity on what you need and what you don't, and what you may need more information on before you go ahead. Now, once you have these two lists, the left is everything that you have done already to support your fertility. The right is all the ideas you have. You now use EFT and tap while you look at the list. If you don't yet know how to do EFT, or you'd like me to guide you through using it, I have something for you. You need to go to episode 20 when this one has finished. I'll link to it on the podcast page for this episode at fertilemindset.com/episode-30. Or you can just scroll back wherever you are listening to find episode 20. In that episode, I explain what EFT is, how it works, and I guide you through using it. And to skip straight to that practical tapping part, which is only 5 minutes long and guides you through each of the steps of using EFT as you do it, just go to 17 minutes, 33 seconds into the podcast. So that's episode 20 at 17 minutes 33 to be guided through using EFT. Now, what you want to be focusing on while you tap are the two lists in front of you and how it feels to be looking at them. What emotions come up? Do the lists feel long and overwhelming? Do you even know where to start with them? Acknowledge everything you feel and say those feelings out loud as you tap. As I said, the guided tapping episode 20 will take you through this in just 5 minutes. Then once you have tapped, look at the list again and see how it looks. See if there are things you can cross off now because they definitely don't feel right for you. Or you could put a question mark next to what you want to research more and put a circle around the things that feel good and you want to continue with. You will now have a plan for you and your fertility as you move forward. And if you start to feel overwhelmed or stuck again, you can return to the lists, tap on the feelings that are coming up and restore your feeling of balance and knowing that you are doing just enough to support you and your fertility. I guided the members of the Fertile Mindset Sanctuary through this exercise in our private Facebook group, which is open to subscription members of the Sanctuary. It was a 50-minute video and it was amazing to see the clarity that came forward for people. If you're in the Sanctuary, do watch this. Just search in the Facebook group, "Am I doing too much or not enough?" You'll find the video and have a completely guided experience of using EFT. But remember that EFT is also an amazing self-help tool, and you can start this now with the tapping guidance in episode 20. Give it a try. I bet you'll love how you feel after tapping. Many people have told me the experience of tapping feels like a weight has been lifted from their shoulders, or it's like the sun has come out and they can see clearly. The effects of tapping are just wonderful. I hope that you find this helpful. I'd love to know how you get on, so do email me at mail@fertilemindset.com and also let me know what you would like me to record a podcast about. Is there a challenge or emotional issue that you are struggling with right now? I look forward to hearing from you and speaking to you next time. I'm so pleased you're listening to the Fertile Mindset podcast, and now I would love to invite you to join us in the Fertile Mindset Sanctuary. The Sanctuary is my fertility support membership, which is focused on taking care of you and helping you enjoy your life while you wait for your baby. In the Sanctuary, I'll guide you through using an amazing technique called EFT or tapping, and you'll soon be feeling less stressed and more joyful. If you're not already in the Sanctuary, do come and join us today, because the best time to start receiving support on your fertility journey is always right now. Honestly, it makes such a difference to have good quality emotional support and techniques that you can pick up and use yourself whenever you need them. Go to fertilemindset.com/sanctuary to join us today. I look forward to hopefully seeing you there and at the next episode of the Fertile Mindset podcast.